What's good, everybody? Just wanted to show a quick breakdown of this week on US30. Had some good profits. Just back testing a lot of stuff, but had the overall direction. So going back to one of my previous videos when I spoke about, I think the title was like 100K pips, 100,000 pips or so, but basically it's the 500 strategy. Each week, like I said, each week these 500s are getting hit. So let me turn this one blue. So each week on H4 looks more clear. These 500 levels are getting hit every week. And what it's doing is just pushing to the next 500 level, right? It'll be just a few. I think it was like 2 or 3 where it didn't push for level to level. So all I'm looking for is a push from here to there, right? The week before, what did it do? It went from here to there for 100,000. And the week before, pushed for, up here, all the way back down for 100,000 and so on. So each week I know that these 500 levels are getting hit. So when this market opened right here, right, it opened up above 31,500 and what's on top of it, 32,500. Just from looking at structure, a lot of you guys draw, well, we've been taught, we're looking at this previous week. We always been taught from bottom wick to top wick, right? So from that bottom to this top. So here, we already know that the market has to come back, pull back to at least, the 38 or sometimes the 50 or the 61.8, right? We already know it has to come back and pull back inside that range. So we know that a pullback has to happen. If it wants to continue in this uptrend, another thing we had on this week was a trend line, basically something like this. We had an uptrend going on, turn on some of the wicks. So something like this. We know that the market has to pull back to a certain area inside of that fit. What I like to do instead of using this bottom wick to bottom wick, I already think that the market is going to give us a pullback from, odd flat, go back into one of these areas. I know it's not going back to the 31,500, right? We can just all assume that it's not going to push all the way back down here. So if anything, I said it's going to pull back to either 30 or 31,500, then go to 32, or it can pull back to, it pushed off the 700, which is an odd flat. And then once you would have took the trade at this 700 and you could have wrote it where to the next 500. So basically I'm adding 2 strategies in one, if that makes sense, right? We know that a pullback has to happen. Instead of going from wick to wick on a previous week, what I like to do is pull the Fed from 500 to 500. And like I discussed in my previous video, I pointed out how these 23s are big reversal areas. 76 and a 23 on my Fibonacci, it's the same. It's the same. I have it on. You can look at the settings. I know a lot of you guys may ask, what's the settings? So the fib levels I have for 23, 20, I have 0.236, right? It's the same as this 0.76. So they are the same no matter if I flip it. So if I flip this Fibonacci and start from 31,500 and go to 32,500, we already know that this is still a 23, even though it says 76. Those areas here and there are the same key areas when it comes to just 500 to 500. I know from just previous experience and just markups of back testing, these 23 areas are very vital and are very key. And that's a good amount of pullback. And kind of cut on structure. We had a lot of choppiness going back and forth in between here. But overall, we don't see this market going to 3,500. So we know it has to pull back to at least our 38 or 23 on our fib, right? If we're expecting for it to go to 32. All we do now is wait. We actually caught some sales up there. So the market did come, you know, close to the 100, took sales. When we took those sales, we honestly thought it was going to push back to this 31,500. But we start seeing this move and all this back and forth stuff, especially during the end of the day. We can go to H1 real quick and look at it. During all this movement at the end of the day, right? There was a lot of movement going on at the end of this day, 26. So I was like, okay, I don't think it's gonna. I already had this highlighted. This 23 from a bigger time frame. I had it highlighted. It had touched 1, 2, 3. When I first seen this first rejection, I said, okay, that's iffy. It might not get to that 31,500. Then I seen this happen. I said, okay, it's not gonna get to the. It's not gonna break this 23 today, especially during the closing. This is almost during the closing of the market. So when it came back again, we took buys and we held them. We held them buys all the way back to the 76. We could have, you know, held more trades to the 30, 32, even though like we strategy is from 500 to 500, but we held some buys from here. Yesterday took a little bit long time to actually make its move, but we just held these trades and took profit all the way up here. So we got in somewhere down here. We took profit all the way up there for almost 50,000, 52,000 pips. We were on funded accounts, so we wasn't using as big of a lot size, but came in some great profit, great profit. Talking $20,000 or so. Just a great amount of profit. Now today, so since we hit this 76, which we know it could have reversed, but just looking at H4 and understanding that we're above this 11 moving average, all we did was come back, retest the 50. And if you know the Fibonacci structure, it likes to push from here. It usually would go to the 61.8, but it pushed to the 23. And when it pushed to that 23, it's a great chance it's going to come back and retest this 50. And when it touched that 50, take more buys, right? Or even if you didn't catch this big move, if we go down to H1, and we look at 500 to 500, let's just look at 500. Even if you didn't want to, you know, say for instance, you missed this trade or missed that trade, even though you knew it had to go to 32,500. Look at something else you could have done. I'm gonna go down. Sometimes, like for those who are not trying to hold trades for a longer period of time, or not, you know, don't even want to test the 500 strategy out. Let's just go down and look at what happened during the time of 8 o'clock, which is that time that we like to trade. So 7 o'clock and right here it says 14:30. 7 o'clock and right there. So during the time of 8 o'clock. Did we touch an odd flat? No. 8:30. Did we touch an odd flat? Yes. So when we had touched this odd flat, take the buy. Okay, here I come. We take this buy, and then take the buy all the way up to. Let's see. So take the buy up to 32,300. But yeah, I just wanted to show you a quick breakdown, and gotta go on orders right now, heading to some meetings. So just want to show you guys a quick breakdown. If you have any questions, hit me up on my Telegram and chat, and we can talk and discuss more. So I'm out.